Hello, welcome to another Daily Digest video. I'm Merriam. Today I'm playing a cool-looking modern deck that is derivative of the green-white tokens deck from Standard a couple of years ago, I guess, at this point. So like, pretty standard base of mana creatures and some value creatures, but there's Archangel Avacyn at the top of the curve, which is what we saw in Standard, and one Ballista to do the whole instant trick. There's also Nest Invader, which is a cool innovation I've seen in some red-green Eldrazi lists as sort of a slightly better Mind Stone. But in this list also gives you a free sacrifice outlet to turn on Archangel Avacyn. So, I don't know, seems cool. We'll see how it goes. This hand's a little awkward with 2 ETB tapped lands, but starting on Noble into Splicer is a great opening. Should be able to get one down and then maybe Avacyn the next turn. Still a fine hand. A little mana heavy too, but what are you going to do? I believe they're on the play, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, which Faithless Looting deck are you? Because there are a million now. Basic Mountain makes me think they are Hollow One. Oh, no. Ooh. These are two cards you usually don't see together. Normally Flaming Phoenix and Black-Red Hollow One, Prize Amalgam and Dredge. Instead we see them both. Well, I mean, Flaming Phoenix does recur a Prize Amalgam, so it seems fine to me, but I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Now their range is just a lot wider now. They're going to kill one, and I doubt they do, but they might, with like a Brutality. I'd rather they kill the bird, and this Exalted is not going to matter anytime soon. Blade Splicer especially makes Exalted weak. Basic Mountain does make it harder for them to cast a Delve Threat, which I assume they are doing to recur Phoenix. And there is black mana, so that's not surprising. They play a land first here, which is kind of suggestive that they don't have Bloodghast. There's Burning Inquiry. Well, they got a couple lands and the Noble Hierarch, so I guess a little punished. Oh no, that is really good. Yeah, they're just a different version of Hollow One, I guess. They probably still have Bloodghast, they just didn't have it in their hand and really wanted to have the land. Makes me think they didn't have another land. And now they get to recur the Phoenix, and that will bring back the Amalgam, which is really good. Splicer does contain Amalgam nicely. So that's something to be happy about. Another ETB tap land. The awkward part is there's no easy way to set up a double spell turn here. I guess I could go tap land into Voice Splicer and say, like, chump block the Hollow One with the Voice, then play the Splicer and have a 4/4 token, and the Golem does well here. That seems reasonable. So let's do that. And that'll have us taking 5 next turn to 12. Still a reasonable life total. Our opponent discarded multiple bolts to their filter spells, which makes it unlikely they have removal. These decks usually only have like 4 bolts in the main for interaction. And they didn't discard either of them to the Faithless Looting. If they discard one to a Looting, then you sort of suspect they have another one. Because although it was a turn 1 Looting, so they didn't really know the matchup. But they discarded these two, the Phoenix and the Amalgam with the Looting. They discarded 2 bolts to that Inquiry. So pretty unlikely they have a third. Okay, just flashing back to Looting. That makes sense. They've made a pretty sizable battlefield here. They're ahead. They don't really want to overcommit. Now, yeah, they get to discard 2 more graveyard cards. Bloodghast and Phoenix. They can't come back this turn, but one of the reasons I liked this curve is it also sets me up to Avacyn on 5, which is a way that I can really get back into this game. So yeah, now we have another splicer, which isn't bad. As long as they don't really interact with us much during this turn, we should be in good shape. To the point where I don't think I'm going to try to trade the elemental for the hollow one. I think I'm just going to try to deal with other stuff and keep more stuff on my side of the battlefield. Because I can't use the elemental to eat a 3/3 and chump away or trade away anything else, which is awkward. And I don't want to take too much damage here because of these Flamewake Phoenixes. So I probably have to trade. So trade there, Splicer blocks something, and Golem. I guess the Bloodghast doesn't have haste. So it's just the Phoenixes. So the only two creatures I can block are the Hollow One and the Amalgam. So really the only question is whether I want... And the Golem eats the Amalgam. So the only question is whether or not I want to trade this turn or chump block. And I mean, trading just seems better. I do lose a pretty valuable elemental token, but it's not super valuable when the Golem checks the prized Amalgam. Oh wow, they are not interested in trading, I guess. Well, okay, I will take 4 then. Land that doesn't deal us damage might be relevant, so let's leave that there. And thinking I might be able to attack with the Golem. No, well, I can't attack the Golem, they have Hollow One. If I attack with the Elemental token, what happens? Do they trade? And then it forcing me to spend the Avacyn now? Which seems fine. I don't think the Indestructible is that relevant. My creatures are all just much bigger than theirs. It does sort of show them what's up. And they didn't do anything other than play land and return Phoenix. So I don't know exactly what's in their hand. Most of this deck's plays are very proactive. Maybe they do have a third bolt. Maybe they have pushes in their deck of some kind. But you figure if they have some removal spells, like, yeah, if they had bolt, they would have definitely bolted the Golem token. That shrinks my elemental. Now they can get in with Amalgam and Hollow One, really. Maybe trade the Amalgam for the elemental. Or Elemental and Blade Splicer team up to trade for Hollow One, and I'm left with just a bird in play, and I'm at 5. I mean, all those seem good, and Push would have done the same thing, so they can't really have removal. If they had Gurmag Angler, they could have cast it. They have 3 lands and 4 cards in the graveyard, so Angler isn't a thing. Maybe they just have like an Amalgam and a land stuck in their hand. Bloodghast, they could have hardcast, which they should have. I guess they could have Hollow One stuck in their hand too, ready to cycle this turn. But they probably should have just cycled on their turn. If they draw a bolt or a push, it's really good. But that might just be a misstep for my opponent. I don't think their hand can't be very good. So I attack with the Elemental. Next turn I get to flash in Angel and block. Oh, I can't do that because then I don't have a good blocker for the Hollow One. Okay, no attack. That was more complicated than I was making it out to be. The good thing is this attack is somewhat disguised by Stirring Wildwood, I guess. Although that plan of blocking into Phoenix every turn with Wildwood isn't very good because it keeps coming back. So, I don't know. But none of my attacks are good, so I will pass the turn and hope my opponent was trying to set up some big attack this turn that Avacyn gets to blow to bits. You have to assume they would cast any sort of Goblin Lore or Burning Inquiry or Faithless Looting they had. I wonder where the space for the Amalgams comes. And they still have both Phoenix and Bloodghast. They probably, I mean, I imagine they just sort of massage the numbers a little. They've got some 3s and 2s. Maybe they don't have the 2 brutalities or 1 brutality, 1 call that most stock black-red lists have. Something of that nature. Amalgam is definitely a pretty good card in the deck. I mean, Phoenix and Bloodghast both return it. Well, I honestly just can't take the chance of this Avacyn getting discarded from my hand, so I just have to play it now. It certainly makes it less potent, but at least it's in play. The Phoenixes have to attack, so I'll get to block one and then clear an attack on the way back for the Avacyn. I found another Avacyn and discarded it. And I discarded two. Oh, I had the Foothills already. Okay, I was wondering like where the other card came because both Voice and Blade Splicer were previously in my hand. That Township would have been nice. Slime is okay, I guess. Yeah, actually, Slime's pretty good. If they can't put a 4-power creature onto the battlefield and they discarded 2 hollow ones to that Inquiry, yeah, it looks like they were just stuck with some hollow ones in their hand, and they ripped the Inquiry, were probably really happy about it, and got very unlucky there. Very unlucky after getting lucky to draw the Inquiry, but... So this Slime should be able to deal with the hollow one and stop the Phoenixes from coming back. And now I have a clock on the way back with Avacyn and the Elemental. And maybe the Golem, too. This game's going to end quickly. I'm also now at the point where I really don't want to flip this Avacyn, because it would kill my board, and my board is very valuable. So let's hope they don't have a removal spell. That would be bad. But let's play this Acidic Slime. And I guess if they have removal spell, then they're not going to have any creatures. They need to land to return the Bloodghast. So that's not the worst, even if they do flip it. And combat. Let's attack you for 13. And then still have 3 blockers on the way back. They're just taking it. Do they have some way to set up a kill? I mean, even if they play a 4-drop, return the Phoenix, and have a Bolt, I'm not dead. That was one thing I did consider. Okay. They discard a Bloodghast to that Goblin Lore, but along with 2 lands. Another Goblin Lore. I discard the last hollow one to it, so 3 out of 4 hollow ones are discarded to random effects. And now they're just so low on mana. They can play a land and have 2 cards left. What 2 cards are they going to be to kill me? Yeah. If they are, yeah. Even if he kept a hollow one and had a Bolt and a land, and those were the last 3 cards. They play the land, return the Bloodghast, play the hollow one for free, return the Phoenix, Bolt me to 3, and I guess kill me. Yeah, so that would have exactly killed me if they had untapped Red Source, hollow one Bolt at the end of that sequence with the Bloodghast in the graveyard. Because then they would have had 5 attackers, I take 4, and the Bolt kills me. So pretty unlikely for that sequence to happen. And we turn the corner in a hurry with that Avacyn. Okay, how is my sideboard? This was kind of a weird sideboard. Eldritch Evolution and some bullets. I guess Evolution is like pretty cool in the deck. We do have already this sort of main deck package with Thragtusk and Slime and Verdurous Gearhulk. I don't think that Gearhulk is very good in this matchup. It's not really what we're trying to do. The rest of the deck is pretty good, so I'm not super concerned about sideboarding a lot. These Worships seem good. I don't think their red-black deck is going to have answers to them. I'm not going to bring in Eldritch Evolution. I don't think that's the game I want to be playing. Fairgrounds Wardens are interesting. They die to Lightning Bolt, which I don't like, but I mean, exiling a Phoenix or a Hollow One and containing a Bloodghast at the same time is pretty nice. So the effect is good if they just manage to stick around. But, you know, I just don't think they're going to stick around often enough for me to want that. What other card do I not want? I don't think Kitchen Finks is particularly good. Some cool with Restoration Angel, obviously, but Splicer is probably better. It doesn't trade with Hollow One, and it sort of just loses out to Bloodghast and Amalgam. Like, Finks is fine because it buys you plenty of time, and time is really what we need, but you don't need to draw a million copies of it. I like Nest Invader a lot just to get to my high end quickly, and maybe set up a big Archangel flip. I want to set up the Archangel flips when I have Voices and Finks, so that I'll keep most of my board, and that shouldn't be too hard to do. Okay, deck just says no removal. I love it. It's just all creatures. I guess we're not all creatures anymore, so that's unfortunate. Okay, this hand is neither particularly powerful nor fast, so it's going to be an easy mulligan. It's sort of like a tempting hand to keep. I got a 2-drop, which is fine, and then this card's really good, and I'm mana flooded, but I have a Canopy and a Township. So there's a lot of rationalizations here as to why you keep a hand like this, even though it's a 5-lander, but this is not a matchup where I can afford to putz around. Like, even Avacyn might not be good enough to save me in certain spots with how explosive that deck is, so let's mulligan. Well, this hand has a lot of similar problems, but if we find like a Finks or a Blade Splicer, this hand is quite good, and then we do still have the Township. And on 6, obviously I'm a little bit wider in my range, so we'll keep this. Yeah, I think Nest Invader is fine. It's another follow-up. It's good with Township. Really wanted a Blade Splicer, but, you know, can't have everything. Probably have a completely new hand after this turn anyway, so nothing to worry about. Let's get these graveyards up. Burning Inquiry. Oh no, they start on the Adept. That's actually a little bit scarier. Though Nest Invader does help me block it. Might just be a clean trade there. Cleanish. I'm likely to take more than at least 2 damage from the Canopy, so I'm just going to get the Garden down. And see if it's Goblin Lore or Inquiry or Faithless Looting. This suggests Goblin Lore, because normally you would play the 1-mana ones before your land drop in case you discard a Bloodghast. Or maybe they're just like Collective Brutalitying. I guess there are some options. Oh, another Adept. Well, this could get dicey. Okay. My plan is to get a basic forest for this because my mana is great anyway, and they might have Blood Moon. I don't know. People just bring in Blood Moon all the time, and it's in this deck sideboard a lot. So I might as well just leave this up. It sort of bluffs Path a little bit. And just gives me more options. I mean, if they have a... Okay, well that's weird that they would just wait to bolt, but... Normally you want to bolt the bird before they have a chance to tap it for mana. But, you know, it's working out just the same for them. I actually needed that Noble for next turn. Now I can't double block and play Resto on the next turn. So I think I just have to take this hit. Hopefully it is not huge. Well, none of the discard effects are instant speed except for Street Wraith. This feels like they have a Street Wraith and they just want to trade for a Nest Invader. Okay, if you have Street Wraith, you should probably just do that first. You might draw another red looting effect. The thing is, I want to blink this with the Resto. I guess I'll have to sack the spawn to do that, and then I'll still only have 3 blockers next turn. So I won't be able to block both if I take them both now. So trading now is probably best. Plus I might draw something else I want to blink. Yeah. Oh wow. Do they just have nothing? And they're trading Adept for a spawn? Maybe they just... Okay, they just have a removal spell. That's fine. I'm not too concerned about that. All my other things will live. If these 1/2s aren't going to get big, then like I'm fine having traded my entire push for a Nest Invader. Or my entire Nest Invader for a push. And this Kitchen Finks was a great draw. So we're just not under that much pressure. They're down to 2 cards in their hand. Probably have like a Gurmag or a Prized Amalgam or something. They just haven't found a way to get cards in the graveyard. Yeah, we'll just go back to 15 here, attack them for 3, and then hopefully take them by surprise with this resto. Now they're down to 14. Yeah, this was just a somewhat anemic draw on their part. And now, I mean, they have a bunch of removal spells maybe, but removal spells don't match up very well against Kitchen Finks. And the removal spells in their deck don't match up very well against Restoration Angel. This bolt is going upstairs. Whew. Okay, I guess they're trying to set up an Angler, which they could have cast last turn. So probably not. Not exactly sure what they're doing. Seems a little premature. Now they find a Goblin Lore. That's pretty good. They have lore into fetch land plus push. Well, we're going to be in a bit of trouble. But hopefully they just return this Flamewake Phoenix, which doesn't do a whole lot. Unfortunately, that discarding 3 cards does mean we're going to lose the resto in the trade here. It was going to be really nice if they can only get them to 3, and then they'd have to trade for the Finks, which we just had a counter on with Township. I don't think I can afford to just eat the Phoenix and then try to like, pump the next turn. I'd go to 14 from the blink and take 8, go to 6. Can I afford to go to 6? I'd go to 5 next turn to activate the Township. And have to double block. I mean, if they had another way to... They have a Faithless Looting for sure. That gets them to 3. I mean, I guess it's only a net of 2 damage, right? I guess 2 life worth losing my Restoration Angel when they don't necessarily have a way to return this Phoenix next turn. That's where it could get awkward. I guess if they have another... We don't know. Their hand has changed a bunch with the Goblin Lore, potentially. So if they have another Lore or a Burning Inquiry and return the Phoenix, I'm suddenly at 6 and just have no way to survive unless I draw something. Which means I probably wouldn't even be able to hold up Township. In order to mitigate that scenario, I'd have to crack the Canopy immediately if my draw step is a brick, or cast it. So I don't think I'm going to have the opportunity to Township, which means I probably should just double block. That lore came on the exact right time. Now this game is a lot hairier. And that's what this deck does. And just out of nowhere can do a lot. But, yeah, your 1-drop trades for my Restoration Angel. Okay. Ooh, that was a good draw. Lets us attack too. So that'll get them to 11. We're going to gain 2 life, go to 10. Now we can probably just eat the adept, even if they make this, eat the Phoenix, even if they make the adept big. So we're at a 2-turn clock at this point. Ooh, now still a 2-turn clock. They're at 9. With Township, we threaten 8. Now they get the adept to 4 again, because if they, at the very least, because of looting. So blocking the Phoenix would have been very awkward. I guess the second resto would have been really good. We would have been able to block 2 things and gain 2 life, so go to 8 and go to 4. Oh, no, okay, they shocked themselves, so now we have lethal on the crackback. If they just tap out to generate a big attack here, which is likely all they can do. A big Del threat would be pretty good, or a hollow one. Ooh, they are making this adept big. They discard another Phoenix. Okay, so now if we just want to block a Phoenix and try to kill them on the next turn, we're going to 3. And 2 if we want to actually activate the Township and kill them. So we would be very vulnerable to a bolt. Yeah. This is a tough spot. They've already discarded 2 bolts. They haven't fetched, so push is not really an option. Though push would still be really bad for us if we make the play I'm thinking, which is just single block the adept. Or single block a Phoenix. Because then they would have revolt after combat and be able to kill the Restoration Angel. So we'd be at 3 with just a Kitchen Finks. They'd be able, and they're going to be able to make this 3 next turn. So I think we have to double block again. Fortunately, this is a 5, so although I guess killing the Finks isn't really a big deal. In fact, that might be preferable given that I have Township because the 2 life is valuable. But they are once again going to trade for this resto. And we're kind of in a weird spot where we're going to go to 6 and 5 from this fetch when they have 4 power flying in the air. I don't think this Fatal Push is going to work. No? When do they get Revolt? Am I missing something? They haven't fetched. Yeah. Okay. I know that's how Fatal... Like, normally what's in your hand, or like when you right-click Fatal Push to go to cast it, it'll show you which one, if Revolt is on. But it didn't when I just zoomed in here, so I wasn't sure. But yeah, this is how Fatal Push is worded. Like, destroy the creature if it meets the condition. So you can target anything, it just won't do anything if the condition isn't met upon resolution. So our opponent just wasted a Fatal Push, which is quite nice of them. Had they saved that until after combat here, we would have been in much worse shape. But actually, shouldn't that mean that they don't have a bolt in their hand? I mean, I guess it just meant that they didn't realize that Revolt wasn't on. If they had a bolt, well, if you think Revolt is on, why aren't they just killing the Restoration Angel? Then I can't block anything, and I go to 1. I was going to gain 2 life regardless. So if Revolt's on, they get to just blow up the resto and put me to 1, and I'm basically dead. And if they have a bolt, I'm definitely dead. Like, I'm tempted now that we can't die to a Brutality because they don't have the mana to cast it post-combat and put us to 1 to just block the Phoenix and kill them on the crackback. And if I block the double block the Adept, they get to leave me with a Finks, and I have to just hope to survive the next turn or hope they can't generate a blocker. There's a lot of things that can kill me on the following turn. Okay. I'm going to go for it. And hopefully we don't get punished. Looks like we are not. I guess they could have had another push once they realized the first one wasn't going to work there, and that would have been awkward. Although Blade Splicer would have been a good draw. That's, actually, no, because we would have just been in it. No, because I just wouldn't have cracked. I would have stayed at 3. So they would have had to try to get this to 4. Okay, well, I'm just going to go for it instead of speculating about other things that could have happened in this game, so we can get to game 2. Okay. Oh, not game 2. We won game 1. That was game 2. So we can just end the match and stop wasting our opponent's time. Whew. Close games there, even though I came out on the winning side of both. I fell behind in both of them and was able to just hang in there, or gain some value, either with Avacyn or Restoration Angel, and then turn the corner pretty quickly. Restoration Angel was actually really important in that second game because it let me get in some attacks and then still leave blockers back that were needed, and obviously the extra life certainly helped, although the Splicer probably would have been better. Oh, definitely. I would have had 2 first strike golems, so just eating all the add-ups. But Fink's still good enough, and just able to turn the corner at, and their sort of lack of interaction was a big downfall, though our opponent clearly misplayed there with the fatal push in game 2. And had they just let me make the play I was going to make in double block, they get to, I guess they're in an awkward spot where like they get to kill the resto in combat, but then pushing the Finks afterwards isn't worth much. But I would have drawn Blade Splicer, been really happy about that, attacked them for 3, played the Splicer, and then they have push for the Golem token, at which point I don't have any blockers back. So I guess I would have been at 6. They would have had 2 2/2s. So that, I mean, they would have had a draw step and a Faithless Looting to try to find something to kill me. I would have had a blocker back for a Bloodghast in the 1/1, the Splicer itself, and then I'm able to kill them on the way back with Township on the Finks, because they would have been at 4, and I would go to 1 from the fetch. So, but I guess if they just find a blocker, like another Adept or a Gurmag Angler, or somehow get a hollow one in play, which, I mean, they had enough mana to just cast it for 1 mana after Faithless Looting, so any hollow one killed me. So yeah, any blocker or bolt would have been good enough, or some weird combination of like Bloodghast, another push, and a land, and then obviously any bolt. So they would have had plenty of outs to win that game had they not misplayed with the push. But they did, and we won, so great. And I hope you enjoyed watching this one. You can come back and see me. Oh, this one is when? Mondays? Yeah, this is a Monday. So come back and see me on Wednesday. Bye.